It's the Joncast podcast with the abrupt intro ending for May 11th, 2022. Thank you for joining the podcast. I've got some topics to cover. This is episode number 53 of the Joncast podcast. So let's put up there. Now it's official. Episode 53 of the Joncast podcast, brought to you by Ian's Pizza in Madison. Stop by Ian's Pizza. We're working on our next promotion. I'll let you know when that is happening. Me and Julio is a fine sponsor of this podcast. You got the Tuesday and Thursday margarita specials at Me and Julio, plus wine Wednesdays. And I've got huge news with my sponsor, Me and Julio, in just a second. If you want to buy one of these t-shirts, this is the Madison version. You can go to joncastpodcast.com. Okay, so let's start today's Joncast podcast. It is live. I'm actually going to Twitter. I'm going to Facebook. I'm going to YouTube, and this will also be part of the main podcast as well. But my first topic of conversation is my podcast party. Here, let me make a cool little intro on the fly with it. Podcast. How do you spell podcast? P-O-D, podcast party. There, now you can see it on your screen if you're watching live. Podcast party is happening. It's been officially announced on Facebook. You can join my page on Facebook. You can follow my page on Facebook. Get all the details there. It's also at joncastpodcast.com. May 18th, 5 to 7 p.m., me and Julio, myself, and national champion Dana Redke will be recording a podcast at Me and Julio. And then afterwards, it'll have a meet and greet with Dana. You can come get an autograph, get a picture with Dana Redke. She just finished her season in Italy. And we'll talk all about that, talk about the national championship run she had at Wisconsin as well. But May 18th, 5 to 7. Now, here's how you can get involved. I've got select tables of 4. So one table, 4 people, $50. That's how much the reserve price is. You'll be the first to meet and greet with Dana. And all this money we're raising, donations accepted as well. All this money we're going to be raising will be going to a mental health organization as a charity donation. So $50 reserve a table. We've already had a few tables reserved, so we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, actually. So still more tables reserved for $50 in the main podcast room. We'll see if it overflows into the other dining area and Me and Julio. But Me and Julio is in Madison. Actually, it's just in Fitchburg, but it's Me and Julio Madison. And I'd love for you to come out, have a margarita. We can all celebrate this podcast and Dana and the national championship, all raising money for charity. So I encourage you to stop out. If you've been a listener of this podcast, come meet Dana Redke. You can come say hi to me, I guess, if you want to as well. So that is happening May 18th. Details at joncastpodcast.com. All right. So I also do another podcast with Ahman Green, the former Green Bay Packers running back. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. we go live on Twitch, and it's called Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. Now, we had a special edition last night of Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. So you're going to see him wearing the same shirt. I just wanted to point that out. Whatever. It's not important. The main thing that is important is Benkert was the guest on our podcast, the Packers quarterback. Of course, Benkert, remember when he took the knee a couple of times? We posted that picture on Twitter, and he's a great follow on social media. But Benkert was our guest, and he said something really interesting about Packers potential targets at wide receiver. Ian Rappaport was on the Pat McAfee show and mentioned names like Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry. And so I asked Benkert on our podcast last night, which you can go download, Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. I asked him his thoughts on which wide receiver the Packers should get. Take a listen to what Benkert told me last night. Here we go. Wide receiver are the Packers going to end up getting this offseason?
I think if I had to just put a guess out there, I think it's going to be Odell. That's I could see him once he's healed up. He fits our scheme. He was able to pop in mid-season with the Rams and have a crazy season. And the style of play with Aaron, he can make a guy like that look even better. Those two play styles I think will mesh really well. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Julio here in some capacity. Because of his experience with LaFleur in Atlanta and in Tennessee. Or I know he was not in Tennessee with him, but he was with him in Atlanta, and then same system in Tennessee. It's there's a lot of synergy there, so there's no learning, and that's the biggest thing when you get a vet receiver. A lot of times they stick within the system or within a coaching tree because you just know they're going to pop in, they're going to know their job. You don't have to teach them anything. They just know the playbook. So I would say one of those two, if we get any of them.
if we get anybody. I think that's important to note, but his first reaction was Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I'm going to be honest. In the past, when Odell Beckham was available, I wasn't too keen on him joining the Packers. Now, obviously, different circumstances have arisen, right? Devontae Adams is no longer with the team. I know they've got Sammy Watkins. They've got some young wide receivers, but you need a veteran. You need a high-quality wide receiver now that you've lost Devontae Adams. So I've switched now. And if Kurt Benkert says OBJ, that's who he says the Packers could possibly get, I'm all about it. I'm okay with, honestly, any of these guys. If it's Odell Beckham, if it's Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry would be fine. I don't know if he'd be earth-shattering news, but and I would have shied away from OBJ in years past, like I said. But this past season, I thought with the Rams showed me that when Odell Beckham is in winning mode, that, because remember, he's with the Browns, with the Giants. I don't know how often you get in winning mode with one of those teams, but when he gets in winning mode, he can be a big factor and a big force. And what Benkert said there, that Aaron Rodgers could make Odell Beckham even better, that's the other factor. And remember when Beckham went to the Rams, people were making fun that, yeah, maybe I wish I would have chosen the Packers. Well, obviously, things went well for Odell Beckham this season, but I think I'm on the OBJ train. I'll say it. Why not? Why not try to get Odell Beckham Jr.? Why not? Because things have changed. Julio Jones would be fantastic too. I'm not sure where he is on his career arc yet, but I think either of those two guys, I'm not so excited about Jarvis Landry, if that's the name. But you heard Kurt Benkert say Odell Beckham Jr. Also, Bucks and Celtics getting ready for Game 5. Very pivotal Game 5 on Wednesday evening for the Milwaukee Bucks, and they need to win. Duh. You can't go down 3-2. If they go down 3-2, obviously the Bucks season is in jeopardy. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about with the Bucks. Number one, who has to step up? And to me, obviously Giannis is going to do Giannis. And if you don't get what you get from Giannis, you're going to, there's going to be repercussions. You're going to struggle a little bit as a team. So who's the other player that needs to step up besides Giannis? And I've got that answer for you. Let me write this down. I should have done this ahead of time. I apologize. Who needs to step up for the Bucks? I'm a good typer, I swear. There. Now all you live people can see a nice little thing on your screen. There. I've got the answer. I've got one answer of who needs to step up for the Milwaukee Bucks, because you get Giannis. Giannis is going to do his thing. That guy has to be, with no Chris Middleton in this series, to me, it has to be Jrue Holiday. Holiday has to be the guy. He was 5 of 22 in the Bucks Game 4 loss, including 1 of 6 shooting the 3-point shot. That's 16 points. You can't go 5 of 22. I'm sorry. 1 of 6. I get it. You can have an off night behind the arc. That's acceptable, but you can't go 5 of 22. He needs to be that next. Just imagine if he goes 8 of 22, how much different that Game 4 could have been down the stretch. And, heck, maybe no one was going to stop the Celtics. I think Horford and Tatum scored as much as the Bucks scored in that fourth quarter. This is a massive fourth quarter scoring. So obviously defensively, some things needed to be tightened up there. I'm not saying Holiday was the reason they lost. I'm just saying it would have helped had he produced a little bit more offensively. So my player that needs to step up for the Bucks here is Holiday. Now, even Holiday had that big score late in the game to help seal the deal against the Celtics in Game 4. He scored 25 points that game, but he was also 11 of 30 from the field and 3 of 10. So not the best shooting numbers. His shooting numbers need to improve. His field goal percentage needs to improve, and he needs to step up for the Bucks in Game 5, because you're always going to get Giannis. Giannis is yes, I get it. He's going to have a good game type of deal. And if he doesn't have a good game, you might have to sound the panic alarm or something. But Holiday, over his last 2 games, 16 of 52, that's 30% shooting, and 4 of 16 from outside the arc, that's 25%. That's not going to cut it. Holiday is my player that needs to step up for the Milwaukee Bucks. I also saw this on the Bucks. This is from Michael Wilbon. And this is from a few days ago, but he had to say this, and I'm going to put it up on the screen if you're watching on the live screen. He had this to say on Twitter about Giannis. Take a look. He put out a tweet that said, Giannis on his own merit is likely the best player in the world now, but the notion that he should just be allowed to bowl people over without offensive fouls being called is preposterous. And a lot of people agreed with Michael Wilbon with this tweet. And I get it. I have a friend, Damian. He always talks about Giannis and how Giannis is not fun to watch, and Giannis just barrels down the lane, and he either scores on a dunk or he gets a foul call, then he goes to the free throw line. And I get it. If you're outside the Milwaukee Bucks bubble, that's how you see Giannis. But I think this is a very, very narrow look at Giannis, and a very, very narrow look at all the contact Giannis receives, to be more specific. This tweet by Michael Wilbon doesn't factor in a Euro step where Giannis goes around somebody and he gets hacked on the arm as a foul. Because I'm assuming Wilbon's looking at obviously the plays of big contact block charge plays with Giannis. And then he's probably looking at the number of times he goes to the free throw line. But so once again, it's a very, very narrow look at the contact that Giannis does receive in the game. Doesn't count those Euro steps where he gets hacked. The physical contact when he has his back to the basket, that doesn't get count. The actual blocking fouls that are actual blocking fouls on contact on a drive, you're just kind of overlooking that and just kind of putting this general blanket that anytime Giannis drives, it should be an offensive foul. And I don't think it's so preposterous because, listen, our block foul charges, a blocker charge foul, are there going to be calls where it's not correct? Absolutely. Happens in all levels of the game of basketball. But I mean, not every block charge is correct. So if that's true, then not every charge call should be correct either. So my point is there's a lot of blocking that goes on anyway. So yes, does he lower his shoulder? Does he create some contact at times? Yes, but is the defender in the correct position to absorb that contact? And if he isn't, then that advantage is Giannis. Giannis has the advantage. So he should be, appropriately going to the free throw line, right? So if I have the advantage on you and I make a move and you're late getting the block, and even though I lower my shoulder and there's contact, so yes, there's a lot of contact with Giannis, no one's debating that, that doesn't mean that it's still not a blocking foul. And I get, should some blocks be charges and vice versa? Yeah, but that happens in all areas, all levels of the game of basketball. So I don't know. I saw that by Wilbon. I just thought it was a narrow look at all of the contact that Giannis does receive. He's only looking at one thing. When Giannis barrels into somebody, but you got to look at the nuance. Was it actually a charge? Was it actually a block? Because if you're really outraged about this, then what is the percentage of drives to the basket that Giannis actually should have been called with a charge? Because I will look at a lot of those plays, and I'm sure there are some, but it's not to the number that people think. I just think that Giannis receives so much contest. He's so big, he's so strong that if you're outside the Bucks bubble, I could possibly see how you look at it that way, but I don't agree with that look at all. All right, so those are kind of things I want to talk about today. Benkert says, Odell Beckham Jr. I say Odell Beckham Jr. Let's go. I would not have said OBJ in the past, but that's really interesting from Kurt Benkert. If you want to see that full interview, I'm on Green Gamers Lounge. It's on Twitch. It will be posted on a podcast soon, so just search for that. Wilbon on Giannis, I think that's a very narrow look at all of the contact that Giannis receives. And I think overall, if Giannis has the position and someone's sliding over and taking that contact, that's a block. Sorry. Also, it needs to step up tonight for the Bucks. Oh, man, they better win. Drew Holiday. Holiday needs to be better than 5 of 22. And over his last 2 games, 30%, 16 of 52 from the field. Podcast party, May 18th, me and Julio. Now, I'm going to open Panini Prizm WWE cards. Now, I don't know how this was going to work on the podcast, so I'll try to be entertaining. But basically, they're making sports cards for everything now. Everything. Movies, sports entertainment. Now, I'm not a wrestling guy. So you might ask, why the heck am I opening Panini Prizm 24 cards per box? So if you're listening just only on the podcast, stay with me. I'm opening this because I saw, listen, I was into wrestling as a kid, like a lot of kids my age were back in the day, Hulk Hogan and whatnot. And then when I got to college, it was all Stone Cold, it was Goldberg, and it was The Rock. So there is a card in here of The Rock that I saw on eBay that I said, you know what? I'm not a wrestling guy, but if I can get that card of The Rock, it is worth it. So first pack, Panini Prizm. We are looking for The Rock. Now, I haven't been with wrestling for the last few years, so I may screw up some of these names, but here we go. First off, boom. How about this? Can you see that? See that a little closer to the camera. Back it off. Okay, I don't know who this is. Trent Steven. Ooh, we got a silver card in the back. All right, Trent Steven. Next up, Braun Breaker. I don't know who that is. There's the card. He's a rookie. Tiffany Stratton. Anybody know if that rookie's any good? Tiffany Stratton, comment. And we'll read your comments. Here is, Zia Lee Silver. So far in my first pack, I don't know who any of these wrestlers are. I wonder if they have Hulk Hogan. I'm just looking for The Rock. That's honestly all I want is The Rock. All right, Jenny. Don't know who that is. Cora Jade. Don't know. I've heard of Booker T. Got Booker T. Boom. Last Panini Prizm is AJ Styles Fearless. Man, I wish this was just a better view on the, I apologize on the live stream. It's out of focus. I don't know how to fix that. I'll get to that later. All right, next pack, looking for The Rock. Looking for The Rock. Bianca Belair. Don't know who that is. Something Valkyrie. Don't know who that is. Trash. Veer Mahan. Trash. Ooh, okay. Charlotte Flair. Gold. Look at that. Okay, Miss Flair. She is fit. All right, Charlotte Flair. 3 packs left. 3 down. Please. I just want The Rock. I just want The Rock. Best pull so far. I don't know half these players. I don't know half these wrestlers. Next pack. Drew Gulak. Boom. Look at that. Okay. Don't know that. Big E. Okay. Okay, I know this next guy. How about this? The Miz. It's not silver. It's just a Miz base. I like that. I'll put that up. Wasn't he on like Road Rules or Real World? The Miz. I remember watching him on MTV. And Bianca Belair, Next Level. Wah, wah. Don't know who that is. 2 packs left. Trying to get The Rock. Man, at this point, I'll take Stone Cold. At this point, I'll take anybody. How about Sarray? Whoever that is. Sarray? Akira Tozawa base. Anybody who knows wrestling is just yelling at their screen right now. Bruno, this guy's old. Baseball has Cal Ripken's consecutive game streak, and sports entertainment has Bruno Sammartino's run with the WWE Championship. The first blah, blah, blah. Who cares? And then a green. This is green. You can't tell because I'm in a green screen. Of Fabian Aichner. Last pack. And I'm disappointed so far with the WWE Panini Prizm. I need Stone Cold or The Rock. Flash Morgan Webster doing some fancy wrestling move. Mandy Rose. Whoever that is. Ooh, Brock Lesnar. Base. Take that. And my final card. The Undertaker. Prismatic. So, Panini Prizm. I think they're like $30 a box, $35 a box. And that's what you get nowadays. All the prices in sports cards or sports entertainment cards or movie cards are all just skyrocketing because everybody wants to make their cash. I have no idea what the print run on this is. Perhaps they made 1 billion of them. Might be going backwards to like the 90s in sports cards. But I did see the Rock card and I wanted that. So when my buddy Damian Fox said, hey, they've got WWE. Do you want a box? I said, sure. Let me try to get the Rock. Thank you, Damian. Did not get the Rock. I got the Miz. Now I got wrappers all over the place. All right, that's the podcast. That's it. That's the podcast. I've been busy trying to finalize stuff with the podcast party on May 18th. I'll have hopefully another podcast for you this week. Once again, thank you to my sponsors. Me and Julio going to be there May 18th. Check out more information on the Facebook page. I've got stuff on Twitter. I'll have stuff posted at Joncast Podcast on Instagram as well. Ian's Pizza. Thank you to Ian's Pizza for always being a sponsor of this podcast. Go check out Ian's Pizza with 3 locations in Madison. joncastpodcast.com for the t-shirts. If you like this t-shirt, it says Madison. It's red. Any sports fan would love to wear this on a game day. You can go purchase one at joncastpodcast.com. And hey, you know what really helps? A rate and a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. That would be fantastic. If you like this program enough to rate and review it, feel free to do so. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, you can follow me on my YouTube account and also on Facebook. Those are 2 new accounts that I put up. And as always, on Spotify too. Okay, did I miss anything? I did the call to action. I did the sponsors. I opened the cards, the Bucks, Celtics. I think I did it all. Thanks for watching the Joncast podcast live for May 11th, 2022, episode number 53 of the Joncast podcast. I hope I didn't forget anything. Goodbye.